I know that we're always exactly where we're supposed to be at the exact time. And it's much more fun when it's obvious. And it is very obvious to us that we're supposed to be right here, right now. And a lot of things had to happen for this to happen, because originally we were scheduled to be in Ohio at this time. And where's Aiden? Aiden sent to me, says, you ever come up to Franklin? I've seen you guys in Gainesville. You ever go up to Franklin? I said, we love Franklin. And so he put a bug in my ear. And then the Ohio thing fell apart. And I said, Angelina, Franklin's on the way from Orlando to Ohio. And so here we are. And it worked out perfectly. So we're going to be talking a lot about those divine interventions. Sometimes they're within our decisions, and sometimes they're beyond our decisions. So we're going to start off with a joy song. Then we'll do a little meditation, and then we'll go into our message. And that'll be it. So the joy song is, instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. You can sing along too.
Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. That's your part. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Just like the Macarena, we got hand movements. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. If every journey begins with a single step, I'm taking my first step now. If we are to be the change that we want to see, I'm changing myself now. Always a good place to start, the one in the mirror. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. All right, we're gonna get a little funky now. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Take that, pentatonic. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Yo, 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 don't wait for peace to come. Be the change you want to see. Gandhi said that, yo.
Thank you.
Well, we are excited. We have a fabulous full day with you. We've got this. We got our flute class after we grab a quick bite after lunch, and then coming back at 6 p.m. tonight to give you anybody and your friends that want to come back for a full concert. We'll do that as well. And so we're just giving you all our.
And I'm just going to talk about Armand's jacket today.
Oh.
So just to clear the air, Armand's a very fun, magical, mystical, crazy, fun guy. And so once this fits him so well, those that don't know him, those of you that do know him, you're like, of course he's going to wear that jacket. Now he has pants that go with it. And I had to put my foot down on that one because that is a little much. So.
Yeah, we did a poll, and I put a picture of me in the whole outfit, and then I put a picture of me with the black pants and the top, and we did a poll, and they were like 30% said the full outfit, 40% said the black pants, so that won, and then another 30% said it didn't matter, and so she won. She won. So Facebook is good for polls. People like, you may have not have noticed this on Facebook. People like to give their opinion.
Oh, yes, they do.
Very exciting. Okay, so let's chill out a little bit. We're going to do a simple chant, peace in every moment. By the way, I know Eckhart Tolle says every moment is the now, but according to that clock, every moment is 10:35. It has been that time for a long time. And the second hand is still moving to remind you that things are still in flow. So peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. And then we'll do a little musical meditation and then we'll do our message. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. And that's a reminder that the peace of God is available to us at all times. We can tap into it sometimes by quieting the mind, maybe taking our attention and bringing it to our breath. Tapping into the quiet time, the still small voice of peace, of love. The spirit that runs within all of us, often called the light of God. Allow the music now to take you on a sacred journey into love and light and peace, our true eternal nature. Very gently now, begin to bring your attention to your physical surroundings, this sacred sanctuary, this holy now moment. For only right here, right now, can we truly experience the eternal peace of God. The truth of who we are. Thank you, Great Spirit. And so it is. Amen. All is well. All is well. God is balanced. All is well. There's perfection everywhere. All is well. All is well. Easier said than done sometimes. So our message today is there's no such thing as rejection. Has anyone ever felt rejected? It doesn't feel good. But what if we knew in our hearts that that disappointment, that momentary feeling does not have to stay with us, because there's a higher wisdom that says there is really no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. And I'm sure we all have tons of examples of things that we thought were the end of the world that turned out not to be. Maybe you got fired from a job and as a result found a job that you loved way more. Maybe you had a first marriage fall apart and thus found the girl of your dreams. Stuff like that happens to all of us. But I didn't know that at the time when my first marriage was falling apart, and I thought, this is wrong. I'm being rejected. So we'll be talking about a lot of different things. I love the Mother's Day story. I'd never heard that. I will say this. There are certain times when a good piece of chocolate is a spiritual event. And so, you know, and you're from Hiawassee. Did they name that after that Peruvian tea that gives you hallucinations? Hiawassee? Okay, I know. Anyway, I've had that tea and yeah, it's different. Okay, so yeah, we have no idea what's going to happen today because I squirrel a lot. And so it could come out at any moment. I could see a squirrel and, you know, we'll be talking about that. Well, I give you, speaking of squirrels, I felt pretty rejected by the universe when we lost all of our work for 18 months during COVID. And I know I'm not alone. Now, Angelina had a different energy around it because as an introvert who had been overworked by her husband for many years, she was able to have a wonderful pause. Maybe you'll share a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm the rare case, I think, but I found out a lot of things from being home for that amount of time. One, we were on the road too much for me, and I was getting a little burned out. And so every time we were on the road, my anxiety was up and it's like, I'm not home enough. I have things I need to get done at home. I have this to do. And I just want to be home more. And so by being home more, I got to really relax. Being an introvert, that's how I recharge. So by being by myself, I got really recharged. So that was a good thing. I got a lot of house things done, just organized things in our career. So now that we're back on the road, things are much more smooth running and all. The biggest thing for me is I had a lump in my throat for like 3 years. And so when I went to the doctor, because I was a bit concerned being a singer, it had nothing to do with my vocal cords. It's called a global sensation, and they don't really know what causes it, but they say a lot of times what causes it is stress and anxiety. And so by being home for this whole time, I no longer had that lump in my throat. And I'm so grateful for that. So that, and it's also just an indication and an aha that yes, I was stressed and had anxiety. I'm finding now that we are back on the road. It's not like I like, oh my gosh, we're on the road again. I didn't get the things done I wanted to do. Or when we're on the road, usually I'm like, okay, I need to get home. I need to get home. And we were on a month, I think, tour out in Arizona, New Mexico in January.
March.
Oh, March. I always say January, March. And there was never a time that I had that feeling of needing to get home. And the day we were leaving to, it takes us like 3 days or so to get home. I was like, oh, we're going home. And that felt so much better than going, oh my God, when are we going home? I need to be home. I need to be home. And so I hope that keeps going that way because it feels so much better than that anxiety. So that's what COVID did for me.
So for me, it was very different. For me, so much of what I loved and so much of what filled my love tanks went away immediately. I was really, I was depressed. And I use the word depressed, but to me, real depression is not a situational thing. It's more of a loss of hope on a grand, like a deep expression, much bigger. But this was a situational depression. And I remember something that Wayne Dyer had said years ago: if you are what you do, then when you don't, you aren't. And I felt like I aren't for those 2 years. And that told me something's not right. If you need all this accolade and all this touring and all this performing and all this making money, I mean, making money is good. Let's talk about the inner breadwinner. It is making good, is important. But if you fall apart when that goes away, then you're putting too much energy in that and there's something else off. And when I went deep into what is off, I discovered something that I sort of knew for 52 years, but I really knew it. And that was that I have ADHD. Now, anybody who's been around me for about 3 minutes knows that, but I didn't realize it was an issue. Okay, I just thought it was like a personality trait. So I did a lot of research and a lot of studies, and what I found out is I was treating my untreated ADHD with this lifestyle. And that's why when I would get home, I would immediately start to figure out a way to get back out on the road again, get my drug. And it's a beautiful drug, the dopamine that you get when you're around wonderful, loving, spiritual people. It's great. I'm not putting any of that down. There's wonderful things. But again, I was compensating. So I got some help. I got some therapy. I did some research. I tried to use some drugs that were for that, and it worked really great when I wasn't touring. And once I was touring, I was able to get off of them. So it was to take care of this circumstantial thing. But let me just tell you the new word for that in case you know people, either yourself or others that have that condition. The new term is VAST, V-A-S-T, and that stands for Variable Attention Stimulus Trait. It does not have the word disorder in it because mental conditions are not typically disabilities as much as they are different abilities, but they have to be recognized and you have to be conscious of them and you have to give them what they need. And a person with diabetes, you don't just tell them to pray it away. You tell them you might need to get your insulin, right? The same is true of other situations. And I grew up in a family of pharma shamers and pharmaphobes. I don't know if you know any of them, but they think all pharma of every type is the death, and they'd rather you die than do any kind of a medicine of any type ever. So I was afraid to try anything. And even caffeine, which ended up being my savior in a way. I take 100 milligrams 3 times a day, and I am not bouncing off the walls. And you would say, wait, wouldn't that make you more bouncing off the walls? Not with my condition. With my condition, it balances me out. So I'm not bouncing off the walls and saying, Angelina, when can we please go to the next theme park? There's an aquarium nearby. Let's go to Goats on a Roof. Quick, whatever. And believe me, we've been there many times because because the caffeine keeps me awake enough to where I'm not doing that. So again, this whole thing turned out to be a gift. I remember when Ron DeSantis said, Florida, we're cutting your unemployment 11 weeks earlier than the rest of the nation. That did not feel good to me. I felt rejected by Ron DeSantis. And then the minute Angelina told me, well, we need to book all of June and July now because all the little bit we are getting is running out. I started calling people like Bill and whatever. And guess what? I started feeling better again. And I ended up saying, thank you for rejecting me, Ron DeSantis, but actually getting me back in what I was born to do. There's always a way to look at something as it's guiding you in the right direction. Here's another great example.
Well, I was just while you were talking about the vast ADHD, because this is a good that it felt maybe that you were
a segue.
Yes. Well, you felt rejection because you had this condition. But the other side of that is Armand wears a lot of T-shirts. One says ADHD is awesome, and dopamine is one that says dope, and it's the molecule setup of dopamine. And parents will come up to him and say, "What do you do for that? Because my child has that condition, and we're really struggling." So Armand is like helping families with that. And if Armand finds a child who seems to be, vast, he goes, "You have a superpower. What is your superpower?" So it makes the kid feel like he's okay. He might be a little high strung or different than his friends and all, but he has superpowers.
And they are superpowers. I met a girl on a cruise ship. We celebrated our 21-year anniversary on a Disney cruise in late January. And this girl, she had Down syndrome. So I just said, "You have a superpower. What is it?" She said, "Fire." I said, "Really? Can you tone it down around me just so I don't get burned?" She said, "I'll do that." So it was, everything is a superpower. We just have to learn how to use it. And we found out Angelina's got a superpower. We coined it. Originally, she would call herself OCD. And I said, "I don't like the word OCD. It's got disorder in it. We got to get rid of that." So I said, "You have OCPC." She goes, "What's that?" "Obsessive compulsive project condition."
Yeah, it's kind of true.
You got that too? You would not believe how organized our pantry gets. It's amazing. It's amazing. So great thing. So let's talk about the most recent opportunity for us to practice what we preach. And I had a challenge with it. And that was our tire was about 10 pounds low pressure yesterday morning. Angelina said the little tire light came on in the car, and I'm in charge of all the maintenance, and I make sure that oil's changed, and I do all the right things. And I said, that's kind of weird, out of the blue. Good tires. I just have the oil change. Everything's good. So I went out and it was 27 pounds, and I pumped it back up to 37, which is what we usually use. And she says, "Is this safe?" I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Driving on this tire that has a problem." And I said, "Well, I'm the maintenance person, and you're asking me if it's safe. I wouldn't let us go on the road if it weren't safe, sweetheart." And she says, "Armand, I have a special needs child as your husband. It's very important for me to ask you if this is safe. You do unsafe stuff every single day." And I said, "You are so right. I am so busted." And she was right. I fish in places where there's lots of wild alligators because sometimes that's the best fishing. And she's scared I'm going to get eaten. And so she was right. And I said, "Yeah, I do believe we're okay, but every time we get gas, I'll go out and check it and make sure it's all right." So we drove 3 hours. I checked it. It was great. I said, I was right. We drove another 3 hours. I checked it. It was great. We drove another 2 hours, and we were where?
Lula, Georgia.
We were in Lula, Georgia. And I'm driving. I said, "Ooh, the light's on. I'm going to pull over right now and see. Maybe we lost a couple of pounds." Flat as a doornail.
Oh my God.
Apparently, there was a nail in there. And the nail was holding the air in until we drove for 8 hours. And then the nail popped out and we lost our air.
And it's 6 p.m. now. So we're thinking if we have to go get a new tire, which is obviously.
I called AAA. I said, what can we do? They said, "Do you have a spare?" And I said, "Well, sorta." Our van is an 8-seater, but it only seats 2. Because all the other seats are either stowed or taken out for our equipment and stuff, including a platform all across the back that keeps all of the things, the tracks from the chairs from getting all over our stuff. It makes it weird. So we put flat stuff, which means to get to the spare, the only way to undo it is to take every single thing out and figure out how to do this. And I
rip up the board that we.
And I felt really bad for probably a half an hour. Oh my God, we are screwed, honey. Barbara Vitale is depending on us. We're supposed to be there at 5:30. I can't wait till the stores open on Monday. There's no way to get to the spare. I don't even know this thing has been glued and nailed and screwed in. I don't know if we're going to get this out. And I felt really small. And I said, tools, 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 spiritual tools. Everything's in divine
That
order.
helps us in so many situations.
Everything's in divine order.
Right.
I said, I can own that I made a poor judgment call not bringing our car in Saturday morning to find out if that leak was a real thing or just a slow leak. But we wouldn't be right here with a flat tire unless we were supposed to be right here with a flat tire. Practice what you preach, bum. You know, and so I had to get that. And that made things better because it didn't mean that I wasn't unwise that morning. It meant that in this holy now moment, to beat yourself up for something you did in the past. How many people watch Ted Lasso? Do we have any Ted Lasso fans? Okay, well, we're super
Love that
huge
show.
Ted Lasso freaks. He obviously has ADHD. Anyway, huge Ted Lasso freak. But he would say something like this. You beating yourself up is like Yoko Ono on a Beatles album. I don't want to hear it. So anyway, that kind of thing. Oh, and somebody mentioned the word fairies today. Do y'all believe in fairies? Yep. Do you believe in fairies?
I do. Do you believe in fairies?
Well, I do believe in fairies, but I think it's more important that they believe in themselves. Anyway, that was another Ted Lasso reference, but it's our favorite show in the whole world. Anyway, so I started to feel terrible, but then I started to feel better. We used our tools, and then I called Barbara. Barbara, we have a situation here. The only thing that's going to make us able to be here tomorrow with our equipment, with our van, is if we take everything out, rip the floorboards all up that have been built in, find that spare and put it on ourselves and get to your house. She said, be careful. She said, the minute you said that, I had a chill run through my body. And the chill said, you or Angelina would have had a serious accident if you had continued to drive. That spare, that flat tire has saved you. Now, I don't tap into all that cool woo-woo stuff, but I believe her. You know why? Because I want to believe her. If you're going to make up something, and for me, I could be making up stuff all the time, make up something that makes you feel good. You have two choices. You can be paranoid or pronoid. Paranoid is everything is against me. Pronoid is the universe is conspiring on my behalf at all time. Any pronoia people out here? It just feels better. And it's all a game anyway, right?
Right. And when we do use these tools like divine order and the how'd you say it?
Pronoia.
Paranoia. It's not that we are in denial of what's really going on. So we do believe that, express your feelings. If it's sadness, anger, whatever, you just don't want to spend too much time there. Or as you say,
I like to say grief, anger, resentment, all that kind of stuff. Natural. You can visit, just don't buy property there. And people tend to buy property there and stay stuck. It's for you to go in, get what you need, face that dragon. Here's how big the dragon is. Usually if you face it, you'll find out he's just a little figment of your imagination. He's a little dragon, a figment, but you gotta slay him now and then. So when we get disappointed, we always do our best. And I have a fabulous partner that reminds me all the time, beating ourselves up is no good. Guilt and shame doesn't make anything. What we need to do is figure out how we're going to get that darn car, driving to Barbara's and be here in the morning. And the only way was, and we took it all out, took a couple hours. Everything went out on the grass. Thank God it was light enough.
Now we have the spare tire on the car, but we have the regular tire. It's like, well, what do we do with that? So we just we took some of the equipment out of the way back and the tire's in the back now. So it's still a story here.
So these tools,
be continued.
Yeah, these tools are amazing because they can keep you from spiraling into hell and staying down there. So there's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. The minute I heard that from somebody, I resonated with it. Okay. I said, that's a wrap. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. And Angelina said, please don't. She really is done with my inner rapper. She wishes it was a phase and it keeps coming out. I'm like, yeah, I am a rapper, yo, you know what I'm saying? but she's like, don't do it. She said, do something else with the song. And then I went, there's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. She said, I like that. And then I said, I can make it into a pirate song. Na, 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 arg. How much does it cost for a pirate to get their ears pierced? About a buccaneer. Arr, arr. All right. So we're going to sing this song. We hope you will sing it with us. That'll be the end of our portion of today. And do you know where it is? I think it's somewhere around 34. It is here, right? Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. Where do pirates get their hooks? At the secondhand shop. I will not do any more. Where do pirates eat fast food? Arby's. Okay, quick before we lose them. Okay, here's your part. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. It's never rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. Oi! Na, 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 na. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. It's never rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. Na, 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 na. On the day that I was born and slapped upon my cheeks, you think that I would ascertain the world as rather bleak, but I heard a voice of wisdom and in my ear would ring, don't think the world is against you, there's no such thing. The world is never against you, there's no such thing. Your turn. Na, 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 na. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. It's never rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. Na, 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 na. At an early age, I knew true love would be my quest. Though many trials and tribulations put me through the test, there were a dozen lovely maidens, much heartache they would bring. I thought the world was against me, but there's no such thing. I thought the world was against me, but there's no such thing. Your turn. Na, 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 na. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. It's never rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. Na, 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 na. Hey! Na, 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 na. I'm moving through my renaissance into my middle ages, becoming fully realized. I trust my inner sages. My quest is done, I found my bride. This holy grail I bring. The world was never against me, there's no such thing. The world is never against us, cause there's no such thing. Your turn. Na, 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 na. Thank you, my lords and ladies. What's a pirate's favorite letter? You'd think it was R, but we fancy the C. So very quickly, one of the things I least like about performers and musicians and things that go into churches is when they do a lot of self-promotion. I'd like to read an excerpt from my book. Anyway, and this sort of sums up everything right here. Faith in the system, Everything will be okay as soon as you are okay with everything. And that's the only time everything will be okay. Michael Singer. Faith, F-A-I-T-H, has been said to stand for feeling all right in the heart. F-A-I-T-H, feeling all right in the heart. Feeling all right in the heart does not mean we always understand everything. It doesn't mean we don't get confused. It just means that we trust that, as John Lennon said, everything will be okay in the end. Being confused is okay. Thinking that there is something wrong with us for being confused is the problem. As Byron Katie says, how do I know it was meant to happen that way? Because it did. Thank you so much for having us. And now what's the next part do? Is it an offertory kind of thing? Is that what happens now? Perfect. Well, we'll play a little music while we pass it. Why not? Okay, hopefully you're going to recognize these words. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. That's your part. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Let's sing it again now. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Nothing in this universe will ever last. So if you're feeling low, this too shall pass, because everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Just the audience. It's not the end. It's not the end. But this is the end.